Three animal rights activists break into the Cambridge Primate Research Centre in the middle of the night in England, where chimpanzees are being used as test subjects for violent films that depict human fury and destruction. A scientist discovers the protesters snapping photos and quickly phones security. The scientist begs them not to act because the chimps are sick with a highly contagious and lethal virus called rage. The group manages to stop him just in time and arrests him. But the activists don't take him seriously and let one of the chimps go free. It bites and attacks a woman with uncontrollable rage before being killed by another chimp. The woman starts throwing up blood on the ground and in his friend's face as the other chimps go insane in their cages. It's too late to kill her, as the scientist orders, for she turns into a zombie and starts attacking everyone in the room. After 28 days, Jim awakens from a coma in a hospital that is deserted. After leaving the room, he looks around for people but finds only mayhem everywhere, not a single soul. He exits the building after getting some drinks from a vending machine and explores London, seeing that it is completely deserted but full of devastation. He discovers that there has been a big evacuation from Britain after seeing a newspaper, and he discovers thousands of missing person signs on a large bulletin board. Jim eventually makes his way into a chapel, where he discovers eerie writing on the walls. He is horrified to discover that the main chamber is filled with decaying corpses when he arrives. When he shouts, "Hello?" a few people move in response and turn to face him blankly. Jim smashes the priest with his bag full of cans when he emerges at that same moment, but the priest is actually a zombie. Jim flees as the priest tries to pursue him without bothering him. Jim flees the chapel with the other zombies, running as quickly as they can till they come to a gas station. There, Mark and Cillian, two survivors, start hurling Molotov bombs at the zombies to burn them alive. After Jim is safe with them, they detonate a bomb to blow up the gas station. Jim is then taken by the two to their secret location, an abandoned candy store under the London Underground. Jim tells them he was in a coma following an automobile accident, but Cillian reveals that a highly contagious virus broke out of a research facility and is now spreading rapidly, transforming people into zombies and bringing down British society. The army was defeated, the majority of the people is now dead or impacted, and the government has vanished. Cillian tells Jim that his parents are probably dead, but he still wants to visit them, so she and Mark decide to go with him so they can be together. When the three group members safely reach Jim's former house in the morning after making their way through a mostly deserted London, a shocked Jim learns that his parents had self-deleted in order to prevent turning into zombies. They even left him a note urging him to, "Don't wake up." Jim sobs as Cillian and Mark console him, telling him that although they had to witness their own families turn into monsters, he should be thankful that his family passed away quietly. They spend the night in that house, but Jim chooses to watch old family films because he can't sleep. He turns on a light, which indicates where he is, and two zombies burst through the window to assault him. Jim yells as he tries to defend himself, drawing Mark and Cillian's attention. Mark and Cillian attack quickly, killing both animals with a savagery that is both merciless and deadly. Cillian then checks to make sure Jim wasn't bitten and that he didn't get any blood on his lips. Regretfully, Mark is the one hurt. Zombie blood is all over his arm wound. Without thinking, Cillian uses her blade to kill Mark, then declares they had to get out because there will be more zombies. Jim and Cillian leave the area after doing their laundry, changing into new clothes, and taking all the supplies they can find in the house. Cillian tells Jim that everyone who becomes infected has to be killed right away, regardless of whether they are a friend or a relative. Later, they proceed to look at the flashing lights coming from a nearby residence. The pair simply climbs over the trolleys in the lobby, which is crammed with them, to get to the stairs despite the building's terrible state. They have to trek up several floors, and as they pause to rest, they hear zombies that have broken into the building screeching. In order to reach the stairs, they also vault over the trolleys, which causes Jim and Cillian to start ascending more quickly as the zombies pursue them. They ascend a few stories before coming to a stop when they discover a man in protective gear blocking their path. He provides them with the address and phone number of his flat. The man stays to battle the zombies, using a shield to block them while using a bat to smash them up. The two arrive at the apartment, but the girl inside doesn't let them in until the man returns unscathed. After everyone has entered, Frank and his daughter Hannah greet the newcomers and give them a warm welcome. This is the fully furnished flat, and Frank is relieved that someone has finally arrived thanks to his signal. The following day, Frank tells Jim that it hasn't rained in a long time while displaying all of the buckets he has on the roof. They won't be able to stay in this apartment for very long at this rate because resources are becoming more scarce every day. Frank then plays a recurrent military radio broadcast for Jim and Selina, in which it is stated that soldiers are supposedly promising the answer to the infection and providing other survivors with sanctuary outside of Manchester. Frank is eager to visit, but Selina is dubious, speculating that it's either a hoax or an outdated recording that has been disproven. Hannah makes a moving speech to persuade everyone that taking a chance is worthwhile. After that, the group loads up with as much food as they can carry and heads to Manchester in Frank's taxi. They witness all of the devastation and the bodies on the streets as they drive through London. When they see wrecked automobiles and bodies blocking their path through a tunnel, Frank chooses to simply drive through it and push it aside. They do succeed in getting across the mess, but not before the car has a flat tire. The gang realizes zombies are approaching when they hear a strange noise and discover hundreds of rats sprinting in their direction as they go outside to change the tire. Since there isn't time to get out the other tools, Hannah changes the tire while the grown-ups raise the automobile. As the zombies' shadows get closer, they can already see them leaping over the overturned cars. Fortunately, the group changes the tire just in time, allowing them to escape. They continue driving for a few hours after that, stopping at a burger joint to get gas from an abandoned truck when they reach the countryside. Jim enters the building out of curiosity and discovers a deceased family. He must murder the zombie child who has suddenly assaulted him in order to survive. They then carry on traveling through the still beautiful countryside. They watch horses run around carefree as they come to a halt for meals. Selina gives Jim a cheek kiss after acknowledging that this exceeded her expectations. The group spends the night in a dilapidated old castle. Jim and Hannah are having trouble falling asleep, so they wake Selina and ask her how she does it. Selina then gives them her medication. Jim wakes up in the morning and realizes he's alone, which makes him fear. But Frank wakes him up and tells him it was all only a dream. When the company sets off again the following day, they are able to see Manchester blazing in the distance. They eventually locate the barricade indicated by the message, but even though there are military vehicles and supplies there, everything is empty. Selina believes they ought to go, but Frank won't let up and keeps looking around. He gets so enraged that he kicks the wall the crow is on to get it to go away when he hears it nearby. A drop of blood falls into Frank's eye from the moving crow, which had been eating on a zombie. He tells Hannah he loves her and begs her to avoid him, knowing what's going to happen. Hannah continues to try to get close to him, and when the virus reacts, a vengeful Frank pushes Hannah away. Then, when he begins to change, he pulls back, so Selina orders Jim to murder him as she restrains Hannah. Jim freezes because he doesn't want to hurt a buddy, but fortunately, some soldiers show up out of the blue and quickly take down Frank. Later, the soldiers bring Jim, Selina, and Hannah to a fortified mansion in the woods where a few troops who have survived have established a new base and fortified it against zombies. They are greeted and given food and showers by Major West, the leader. After they've calmed down, Selina breaks down in front of Jim, and Hannah is left to snooze. Selina first gives him a kiss in return when he tries to console her, but she quickly flees the room after realizing what is going on. Jim then visits Major West to inquire about the answer to the infection that was referenced in the radio broadcast. When it turns out that they don't have a cure, West believes that the extra security measures they've put in place throughout the house and the supplies in the kitchen are his solution. In addition, West says he has even taken down a zombie soldier, who is being studied while chained up in the courtyard of the mansion. West claims he wants to find out how to starve a zombie to death, which might be the real solution they need, but Jim believes it's cruel. Jim's company meets the troops for supper in the evening, and their tough, masculine demeanor gives them a bit of a creep. In addition to assuming Hannah can handle the cooking responsibilities, West taunts the man who made supper for making a mistake while dressed in full military. All of the troops rush outside to defend the mansion from the approaching zombies when the alarm goes off. The men easily take up their designated positions and begin firing, dispatching scores of zombies and setting off some large explosions with their weapons, defeating their enemy without breaking a sweat in a matter of minutes. Jim tries to shove Mitchell away when the soldiers return and try to take advantage of Selina. Mitchell easily outmuscles him due to his training, and Sergeant Farrell has to strike him to get him to stop. When West arrives, he orders everyone to clean up the bodies before having a private conversation with Jim. According to West, he discovered a soldier named Jones a few days earlier who was going to commit himself since there was no hope left. West put out the radio message because he wanted to restore hope to his men by promising to send them women so they might repopulate after starving the zombies to death. Jim, horrified, rushes to seize Hannah and Selena and tries to flee with them, but the soldiers quickly knock them down and seize them. Because he disagrees with West's intentions as well, Farrell tries to defend them, only to get captured in the process. Farrell says to Jim when they are both in prison that since the virus couldn't have traveled over oceans, the rest of the world is probably safe, and they are merely quarantining Britain to contain it on the island. This gives Jim hope to hear. Mitchell and Jones bring the inmates to the forest in the morning so they can be executed next to a body pile. And dispute breaks out when Farrell calls them out for betraying their own sergeant. Mitchell wants to knife them and enjoy it, while Jones wants to shoot them to end things quickly. Despite Mitchell's arm injury, Farrell is killed by a desperate Jones shot. Mitchell leaps to yell at Jones, but Jim seizes the opportunity to flee. Jim has been posing as a body on the pile, but the soldiers have noticed and are searching for him right away. Jim then makes his way out by leaping over the wall and taking off his shirt. Upon observing this, the soldiers choose to abandon him, reasoning that he is unlikely to survive the zombies that stray outside the gates. Jim looks up as he unexpectedly trips and falls while making his way into the woods. He is shocked to see a plane flying by, proving that Farrell's assumption about how fine everything is in the rest of the world is true. The warriors want to dress Selena and Hannah nicely inside the estate so they can spend the night procreating. After failing in her attempts to combat them, Selena switches up her strategy and flirtatiously kisses a soldier, pleading with him to grant them some space so they can change in peace. In an effort to lessen Hannah's shock from the encounter, Selena gives her some of her medication after the soldiers accept and exit the room. After hearing this, the soldier quickly returns inside, but before he can do anything, they hear the alarm sounding once more. Jim is at the barrier and intentionally raising the alarm, it turns out. As soon as West and another soldier show there and begin examining the area, Jim stealthily moves to ambush the soldier and bring him down. West opens fire without aim just in case after realizing his partner is missing and discovering him dead in his jeep. A zombie then leaps on top of the jeep as he attempts to exit in it but finds that it has been disabled. He is instantly shot down by West, who then exits the jeep to finish off the remaining approaching zombies. He dashes back to the mansion after finishing. When Jim returns to the mansion in the meantime, he uses the weapon he took from the jeep to free the chained zombie, who then charges the troops defending the girls through the window. As Selena seizes the opportunity to pull Hannah away, the zombie splatters blood on a soldier and begins to pursue Jones. Now, the first soldier also turns into a zombie. Mitchell stops Selena and Hannah from leaving the house when they attempt to. Mitchell sends a soldier after them while he tends to the girls when Jones suddenly dashes by with the zombie trailing him. As the zombie approaches Jones, who has managed to hide in the kitchen, Mitchell's companion appears to kill Jones, only for Jones to be grabbed on by the new zombie and become infected as well. While Jim contentedly observes everything from the window, Jones sobs inside a cabinet since he is powerless to assist. Jones tries to flee once the zombies go, but Jim finds him and instantly murders him. Jim then hides from the zombies by going via a hidden door. They choose to use the stairs. When Hannah escapes Mitchell upstairs and goes into the changing room, she discovers a photo of her father among her belongings. She ducks behind a mirror in time to hide when she hears a zombie approaching. The zombie walks away after becoming perplexed by his own reflection. Returning to Jim, he searches the mansion for the females while running about, and finds a soldier hiding in a chamber due to his lack of ammunition. Jim leaps out of the window, leaving the soldier to be devoured by the zombies, ignoring his cries for assistance. Jim runs the roof and peeks through the window into the room where Mitchell is going to take advantage of Selena. Jim jumps on Mitchell as soon as he takes Selena hostage, forcing him to release Selena before launching a vicious attack on him. Jim doesn't give Mitchell much time to struggle before hurling him to the ground and crushing his eyes with his head against the wall. Terrified by this brutality, Selena pulls out her machete, assuming Jim is also a zombie. Jim, however, is able to show Selena that he is not, and the two of them share a kiss. Unexpectedly, Hannah strikes Jim with a vase, believing that he is also afflicted. Jim is thankfully unharmed, and the three of them flee the building right away. However, as they get close to Frank's cab, they discover West inside. After West shoots Jim and claims he wants retribution for his men, Hannah hastily backs the taxi into the structure. As the previously chained zombie kills West, Hannah quickly leaves to pick up Jim and Selena as the zombie breaks through the back window and pulls West outside to exact his own retribution. Even though the mansion's gates are shut, Hannah simply drives through them. Jim's recollections of what transpires next are hazy, but he does recall Selena performing CPR on him at a hospital and pleading for his life. It is revealed that the three had been residing in a rural cottage for the past 28 days. Selena had been sewing a lot of cloth, and when they hear a jet take off, the three of them run outside and she makes the enormous letters that read, "Hello?" When the plane notices this, it turns around to come to their aid. Rage Across Britain, a look at 28 Days Later, 2002. 28 Days Later, 2002, is a fast-paced British horror film that redefined the zombie genre. Here's a breakdown. Explanation. After a rage virus accidentally escapes a research lab, it infects most of Britain's population, turning them into fast-moving, hyper-violent creatures. We follow Jim, Cillian Murphy, a bike courier who wakes from a coma to a deserted and ravaged London. Struggling to survive, he joins a group of survivors searching for safety and a possible cure. Criticism. Infected on fast forward, unlike the slow, shuffling zombies of classic films, 28 Days Later features rage-fueled, infected, that can run and attack with terrifying speed. This creates a genuinely frightening atmosphere. Gritty realism. The film uses a handheld camerawork style and a desolate setting to create a sense of realism and immerse viewers in the characters' desperate struggle. Characters with depth. The film goes beyond just scares, exploring themes of loss, resilience, and the search for humanity in a broken world. However, some supporting characters might feel underdeveloped. Moral. 28 Days Later explores the consequences of scientific recklessness and the fragility of human civilization. It asks viewers to consider the importance of human connection and the will to survive, even when faced with overwhelming odds. The moral message is complex. Sometimes survival requires tough choices and clinging to hope, even in the darkest of times. Easy understanding. Imagine waking up to a world overrun by rage-infected people. 28 Days Later is a fast-paced horror with sprinting zombies, a desperate fight for survival, and a story that explores human resilience in a world gone mad.